Yo, podcast peeps, this is the very first episode of the Holmies Hangout Podcast, the pilot episode, and we're getting into it with a very special guest. Now, this is SesoHQ. Many of you guys know him, especially in the graphic design industry, an absolute pioneer in graphic design content, and someone that I can call a friend, especially since joining his design royales. I've gotten to know him very well, and I've had many conversations with him, of course, with creating content together. Now with this episode, we get talking about the origins of Seso, how he got started into content, how he became such an absolute staple in our industry, while also breaking down what it means to be a graphic design content creator, the future of graphic design content, and then we get into some really deep stuff about the mentality of what it takes to be a designer in general. This is a very in-depth episode with a lot to take in and the perfect way to start this podcast. Hope you guys enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are gathered for our very first episode of Holmies Hangout, the Holmies Hangout Podcast. Right now, we have an absolutely incredible human joining us today, a design dynamo, esports creative king, the colossus of Creative Cloud, Design Royale content creator of Design Royale rather, but still the content creator behind it, 100 Thieves branding genius, SesoHQ.
I don't think that.
Welcome to the podcast.
There's no way in hell you just one shot, just like, there's no shot you just did that. You practiced that. But I appreciate all the kind words. That was brilliant. That was brilliant.
Well, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm not gonna lie, it's a busy week today, or busy week this week. I have a lot of content ideas that unfortunately need and require a lot more weeks to actually produce and do. So I'm realizing now that I may or may not have a video right now in mind, and it's 3 days until my upload. So there's that.
I definitely feel your pain. I feel like when it comes to graphic design content as a whole, rather than just being able to just kind of film whatever it is that you're doing and just immediately just turn it into something, when it comes to just graphic design content, the act of actually doing the designs with the video adds in a whole nother stress. It like almost doubles the workload completely.
Literally. It's like script after script. You got to do visuals after visuals. You got to make sure the knots are tied. After knots are tied, you got to make sure the thumbnail, the title. Yeah, the whole thing. You know, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely understand your pain. But there's something that I want to ask you that I've been wanting to ask you for a very long time, and I feel like a lot of people want to know. The start of Seso.
Design was a complete and utter accident in my world. I did not strive to be a designer. I never even knew what a design was, never knew there was a world of design. It was strictly because I had a channel named XX Seso Oath XX. That was my channel name, okay? Don't laugh at me. So basically what had happened was I was like, into the trick shotting days. I was like a phase clear out back in the day, if you know what that means. Like I was that guy. I just loved the idea of trick shotting YouTube and that whole mess. With that though, of course I needed to make sure my channel looked good. My XX Seso Oath XX looked great and phenomenal. By the way, it was capital X, lowercase x, capital S. There's a whole thing about it.
Important distinction.
Yeah, very important. It wasn't lowercase x's. That's cringe. With that said, though, like it was just a scenario where I was looking for branding. I had a friend of mine whose name was Justin FakeyFX. That was his name. And I was like, "Yo, Justin, do you have like time to make me a quick YouTube banner?" And he was like, "Yeah, but like, I was like, okay, I'll just let you know. Let me know when you can get it to me." And like a couple days went by, and I was just like, "Hey," like knocking on his door, and it was Skype at the time. I was like, hey, like for like a whole day, like just being a really crappy client. And by the way, I didn't even pay him. It was just one of those scenarios. And he was just like, "Look, man, I can't get to it right now. What if I showed you how to do it?" And I was like, "Can't be that hard, right? Yeah, show me." And he gave me like some brush packs. He gave me a font to download. He gave me on how to get Photoshop because I got it, the correct way.
Right.
That though, the correct way. So after all that, I hop in. He gives me the YouTube banner template. You got the banner on the top, then you have like the two side panels with the old school layout, and like you can like click on the banner itself. Do you remember that like old layout? Do you remember that?
I mean,
you're not.
No, I'm OG YouTube, but it's been a long time. It's been a long time. I mean, back then I was making fingerboard videos. So
it's exactly how you would see YouTube now with the banner on the top, but there was banners on the sides too.
Right.
And it was just like a scenario where we had to like have this whole page actually set in design. So I just made my own one. I put XX Seso on one side, Oath XX on the other side. So it was like Seso, Oath, and like it just like kind of offset like this. And right after that, I was like, okay, dude, this is kind of cool. So then I knew some other friends that needed banners, and I was just like, hey, you want to make you a banner? He's like, oh, sure, you do that now? I'm like, yeah, diving into it a little bit, why not? As soon as I started getting like, after I did one for one person, of course, word of mouth, like, hey, Seso's can do it for us if you need to do it. Situation happened, so I'm like doing these random banners from just random friends and whatever of the community. And after that, I was just like, okay, like I'm really enjoying this. That's when I started like going like, okay, what's next with graphic design? I went and downloaded Cinema 4D. Like Cinema 4D was something I was like, okay, this is sick. This is so cool. You make 3D text. Had like the crappiest Lightrooms ever, but like I was learning what it was. And at the time, there was this really cool like universe of doing 3D like models, you would call them, like back then. That's just not the term nowadays, but it's like basically using a model of some sort of like tube or shape of like a square or whatnot, and you kind of extrude it and just make random pointies on the edges. It was weird, but it was cool as hell at the time. And at that time, I was like, this is so cool, but I didn't see any tutorials on how to do it. So I was like, okay, I want to be a YouTuber. Maybe there's a universe where I should start doing some like YouTube design tutorials. And I did my first ever YouTube design tutorial on, this is like, I had a YouTube channel, XX. After I got into design, that's when I made SesoHQ. But while I was doing SesoHQ stuff, it was basically like my place. I just put my random like clips and whatnot because I want to be more professional. So I put Seso, HQ, which also stands for headquarters, by the way. Seso headquarters, which is a copy of like an old PlayStation Call of Duty team called SesoHQ. I don't know if you remember. The random P logo back in the day. I copied their branding of the HQ, so that's where that came from. And at that time, I was just like, okay, I got SesoHQ. I have my editing clips here, and like I just started like doing just random editing stuff for fun on the back side. But regardless, when I posted my first tutorial on this stuff, that's when I saw like, I don't know, I got like maybe like 400 like views in the first week, and I was like, what? Like, no shot, bro. I'm getting over here 100 views for my crappy little thing. So after I started doing that, I was like, okay, I want to do Seso. And all these videos aren't listed nowadays, but I started doing something called like a Seso's progress videos. So I would go through, you would hear me talk. This is me. I'm kind of enjoying design. This is kind of fun. These are my banners I did. I feel like I'm doing good. I would call like an avatar logo. I was that guy, the usual base. So the way it started, I just got obsessed with it. I just got really obsessed with the idea of creating just something from nothing. I kind of say that a lot. I really enjoyed that idea. I was like, this is so cool. Like you start from a blank canvas, and you can literally do anything you want as long as you can actually do it. So it just became this idea where I was going through forums, I was going through random YouTube channels, looking up videos. I was going on like, what was it called? I can't remember the exact forum, but just imagine like this random forum that I was going on. I really, really wish I remember. And they always just had like people just throwing in like tutorial clips and things like that in there. I was like, okay, cool. But all these guys like talk like this, talking, and they're just like this. So you click over here, and I was like, I fucking cannot do that. So I was just like, okay, let me be the person who makes design fun, who is not really full of himself. I'm not trying to like play this character that I'm better than anyone ever at any point in time. I know I'm not that great in the sense of greatness things, and like, like I don't know, whoever you think your amazing person is, maybe I'm down here, and that's okay with me. I'm working with my pace, and I was working with what I was presented with. So at the time I'm doing these tutorials, and I know they're not great, but someone out there is also getting into design who wants to also level up with me. So the people that stood with my channel from like the beginning till like say like a now, or just gotten maybe halfway, they're probably getting better just because they're noticing my ideas develop, and or a certain something that happens that I do. He goes, oh, you can do that? Okay, boom. That person now levels up. And it became a situation where I was just using my channel as like a online portfolio and an online progress. So my whole channel started with like doing, random headers. And, back in the day, people would be like, why are you just doing tutorials on headers? That's not a tutorial. I'm just like, I just title it tutorial because I know it's going to get views. If I'm being honest, like it's basically like a speed art that's not sped art back in the day, right? I was just like, I'm just gonna do a tutorial. So after that obsession, I just started like growing, whatnot, and I got 10K subscribers, and I was like, this could be something cool. By the time I got into college, I maybe had like roughly 60K subscribers, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to take a year off and see if I can take this thing somewhere, and I ended up doing so and never went back, and the rest is history.
See, it's really interesting that you had that mentality early on going into the idea of like creating content and doing this tutorial content where you didn't feel like you had to know everything going into it. It's like, here is what I do know and here's what I could do to help people. A lot of people that I talk to, especially in the graphic design industry, and a lot of designers themselves, they lack that confidence and self-awareness to be able to be like, all right, well, I don't need to be the best. I just know that I have something and that I can provide value to other people.
Yeah, I would say when it comes to esports, the whole community in general, like, and now it has this title of esports. Back in the day, you just gamed and you had a community of gaming friends. But like the whole community of esports it's very competitive in its own right. So I've grown up playing Call of Duty all my life in that sense, and with that just comes this competitiveness sense. And if I see something that I can compete with, like I know I wanted to do YouTube from the beginning. I always wanted to be an entertainer. It never just kind of like hit the way I thought it would hit when it comes to like gaming content or doing trick shots or being like the next phase tester or some shit like that, right, back in the day. So like with this comes an opportunity where I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna still do that, but I'm gonna do this over here. There's a gap here. There's no fun tutorials. There's no fun person out there who's screaming into the mic, you know, is not afraid to just be like just fun. Like it's like not afraid to not know what he's doing. However, it can still look cool, and looking cool was pretty much my goal and objective when it comes to design back in the day. Now, of course, it comes with a whole list of things you got to make sure you are on top of as a career choice. But back then, I'm just like, if it looks cool, I want to share it, because why not? Someone wants to do it, right? And someone wants to do it themselves. I know there's someone out there who wants a banner, but they don't know anyone who can do it or has $10, $15 to actually, you know, spend on someone, on like a Fiverr or a friend. So in that case, you just have someone. My channel is basically people probably who were started as like not a designer, but needed something to get done. That's what I would think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's also interesting too, is the fact that it's evolved so much over the years, and like the idea of just content in general, where back then you could just straight up post something, a video of you explaining this thing for 40 minutes and it would do just fine. Where now there's just such production value that goes into it that can't necessarily be reached in the same way that you could have done years ago, you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, when it comes to the evolution, it kind of took me a long time to understand what it is when you evolve a design related entertainment tutorial, whatever / channel, because it's really not a thing. It's never been done. So like right now it's kind of this universe where it's just like you have someone like a Benny Productions or like a let's just say Benny Productions, for example. He's like really great visual illustration artist with like when it comes to Photoshop manipulation. However, that's like I think Photoshop manipulation, like the manipulation idea and scene, is very much so like a niche in its own. A niche, but like, you know, most people use it for either photography, manipulation, or graphic design, web content, right? So you have people who do great illustrations, you have people who do great, you know, photography, who use Photoshop, right? And then there's no person over here who's really like saying, well, there's this side, so that's what I was trying to fill the gap of. And when it comes with that, I've been doing YouTube for 10 years, literally last couple weeks from this recording on, you know, July 28th. So I'm just
congratulations, by the way. Appreciate
that. What comes with that, though, is I was doing a new video, a new idea, a new something every week, no matter what happened in my life. Tragedy, sadness, sickness, did not matter. I still pressed record and got it done. What came with that was like, I have over 800 videos. Some of them are listed. I have around, I think, 500 and something public videos. And Lord knows, like, you got to repeat tutorials. You got to do them over. You got to elevate this. You got to elevate that. When you've been doing something for so long, so consistently, and sure, there's evolution in design. You can always change something up and call it different. But in the world of YouTube, if it's not drastically different or dramatically changed, it's not going to get the views or get an interaction. So what happens now is like, okay, how do I make, you know, design fun for people to just to watch in general? Because I'm a designer. Like, I live and breathe design, but I'm not out of my way going on YouTube and typing in graphic design content, like graphic design entertainment. That's not a thing. Like, it's just not a thing because it's just not been done. So hopefully someone like myself or you or like a George or a Frostify or someone out there, you know, Bluebell, these names are just randomly naming out, but these are people you should probably be paying attention to because they're trying to do something that has not been done. And you know, you get behind someone like that and you don't realize something as simple as like a design royale, like you mentioned in the beginning, was I wanted to take people who wanted to be on YouTube, didn't have a following, right? In the sense of like, or who doesn't want to do a following, but who wants to compete in the light of something, right? You don't really see it very often. and then have them all compete, share the screen. The face value of it was the most important thing, because I wanted people to have a connection with the person, seeing their face, seeing their eyes move up and down while they're thinking or whatever. I wanted to see that, because I think the personal of it and design is so much so like just focus on the end result, but there's so much about the process. There's so much about the way the person thinks. There's so much about the way the person wants to, like, you know, he could be the most silliest person in the universe, and his designs are like fantastic. You might be like, how does that work? So now when you look at someone on Twitter and they go like they're doing memes 24/7, their designer, now you might not have an interaction where like, oh, this guy's kind of like too funny and too like, you know, silly. I don't think he's going to produce great work. No, it's called a personality and a profession. They can work hand to hand. So that idea was like, I wanted to make sure I expressed that, I navigated that, and I made sure it was said and done. Like, these are people like us who are fun. It's not just me. I'm just the guy who has the numbers to back it up. There's people out there who are also fantastic, fun entertainers who don't have the numbers quite yet, but give them a chance, and I swear they'll probably surprise you.
Yeah, what you've done now with this shift that we're starting to see and starting to create ourselves. I mean, we've had many discussions about it before when it comes down to just the shift in design, what we want to see in content moving forward. But that transition from the way that everyone views graphic design now, which because it is that professionalism, everyone views graphic design as a profession. The reason why they get into it is because they want to make it their full-time job. But trying to shift that perspective, I think, especially the people that you mentioned, including myself and you, Bluebell, Frostfy, and George, we're all kind of in that mentality where it's like, okay, there's a different perspective that we can have to this and bring it into a whole new realm that people haven't seen before. Because the way that we enjoy design, and especially because we create content as well, is that it is just a fun, relaxing thing, and it doesn't need to be taken so seriously all the time. 100%. Is that you can have fun with it.
100%. And I would like to say as well, is like, I think where, like, if someone's out there watching this, I think what needs to happen is if they're saying to themselves, I want to get into content, what needs to happen, and for it to work and for you to grow off of a series, not just a video, is to make a series and not just a video. There's something about, like, back in the day when people used to do, like, I don't know, what was it? Friends playing Scriblio, right? Realistically, Friends playing Scriblio, like, by, like, a Vanoss or whatever, what is his whole crew back, like, 4 years ago. It was a big thing, right? You're like, oh, this guy, you know, playing Scriblio, and, like, that's art-related, right? But if you can create moments like that where you can get other creators who go, oh, you know, I want to recolor some logos, see if it works. You know, it's a fun video because it's so generalized, it's so simple to do, and it's so, like, you know, easy to record and press record and kind of just draw on some logos and whatnot with a little bit of preparation beforehand. Like, I think the way we need to think about content is how to make it so accessible as design is. It is very accessible. A lot of people get turned off by it because they're not great when it just starts. But, like, there needs to be a moment where we're making, like, a series or, like, a topic or, like, a fun something. So, like, for us, when we did recoloring logos, I was like, that is so dope. You can do that over and over again. Someone else can do it with their friends. They can take the same PSD that we just did, record the same video, and try to do it with their friends. It's just that a lot of people are turned off by the idea because it's not done yet. But I really genuinely think if, you know, these designers got together, like, small, whatever, like 10 people, just, like, you have a core friend, you have your people you get on Discord with. If you guys start fucking recording, I really think something can come from that. I really genuinely think so.
That's one thing that I wanted to ask you too, is going off of that, how do you think, as far as, like, this new direction of graphic design content, trying to make it a bit more entertaining for everyone, how do you think you could find a way to engage people that aren't designers in this design content?
Yeah, I think mentioning it before is, like, making it simple to understand, making it so simple where it's dumbed down to the fact where, like, oh, I know this, but didn't realize that was graphic design. You know what I mean? Like, recoloring a logo, coloring a logo is design. Or, you know, drawing logos from a memory. That's design. Realistically, you're just copying what their intentions were in the past with your own memory, whatever, right? I think what needs to happen is that we make the audience feel like they can do it, they can understand it, and, like, I think there needs to be a world too. Like, if there, I mean, we're answering this, the questions that you're asking is just like the ongoing answers I'm trying to figure out myself today.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. I think there just needs to be, like, an acceptance of, like, art can be fun and not just a profession too. Like there's people out there who are breaking that narrative, like a Benny. Like I said, Benny Productions over 1 million subscribers, right? And you know, he does manipulation, but it's just not that's not the only thing. But for some reason, if you compare, you know, someone creating a magical world with throwing in 14 different pictures and makes one picture with a color correction, and you go over here and you do, let's just say for examples, like a poster with like a type layout, you know, a picture and how you put that together. Realistically, this one's more fun, the manipulation. That's just a fact. It just feels untouchable. Realistically, if you put yourself in a year in manipulation, probably get it and you'll understand it. But like, it feels so untouchable. This feels too simple, right? This like poster thing over here. You're just like, what's the point of watching when I can go watch this guy do something I can't do? You know, I think what needs to happen is that we need to break that narrative. Like, hey, this is hard too. Like putting up together 2 typefaces that make sense and a layout and like, you know, making sure you know, if there's a brief that it's actually hit, that all makes sense. This over here is a freestyle. The manipulation is like, you put pictures together that you can find and like it works out. I'm not trying to knock anyone, but it's just like the idea of like, there's skill here too, but the skill here is not seen. So there has to be a world where you do things and you gamify graphic design, like in a design royale standpoint, where you're actually seeing the process, but the end result, you get to see cool things in the end result. And I think what makes it really cool is you get to see 8 different perspectives. So you don't have to just see one person's idea. Where like if I were to do like this my briefs on my own, you'd be like, it's kind of fun, whatever. It might not get the most amount of views, but that's what I do with my redesigning series. It's just me. But like if you can get 8 different perspectives, then you just like, okay, if I don't like Seso's idea here, at least I have 7 other options that I can like see and look at. And like whether if it's like a gaining inspiration or just seeing cool things, that can be it. But I think as well as like mixing culture and design is a very big thing too. So like if you do videos, try to like, you know, throw in together something that is like a pop culture right now. Like, I don't know, like I don't know, Among Us or like a Fortnite design or something like that. You'll catch traction that way. But the issue is that you don't want to put yourself in a box, right? Like I put myself in a box for damn near 5 years and I didn't know how to get out of it. Because if I did anything else that was anything other than like a banner or like tutorial design, I'm getting like 2K, 3K views. I'm just like, well, this is dumb, and now I know I have to sit in this box. So I think what needs to happen is that we need to gamify design, make it simple, and involve personalities. And like if you look at like a Sidemen or like a, you know, your favorite Twitch group, they have people that they design and play games with or something like that, right? And this relevance, like a Nitmerse always plays with like a Tim the Tap Man. You should have people around you that have the same ideas and goals, and people love laughter, funness. If they can feel that through your video, then that could be the reason why they watch over art. But art is the, you know, the combining factor. That's what I would say. You have to figure out how to mix fun with the design, and it could be done in billions of ways, but unfortunately it's so untapped that we have no idea what that means yet.
And that's the exciting part, is the fact that we're so early in this right now, is that it really could go in any direction. But I mean, the main direction that's going in right now is up. I mean, I think one of the 100%. Biggest reasons why Design Royale has done so well is not only just the skillful people that are in it, the challenge that's involved, but it is the idea of collaboration, the idea of multiple people collaborating together, because there's that familiarity of people that they might know being part of this, but also all trying to achieve the same goal.
100%. I think you said it perfectly. There's so many people that I've met, like yourself or like a Bluebell, who are so great in their right of like entertainment, or the way that like you entertainment wise, when it comes to like Bluebell thinking wise, that's just ridiculous. I would have not have known if I would not have been in scouting of finding other people who had the same correlation or idea of direction when it comes to YouTube and entertainment with me. And that's scary, because I'm in this 10 years deep, and I've only started talking to other people 4 months ago. That's bad. Like I need to start introducing myself to more people, and like growing them in turn grows me. You know what I mean? Like they'll have different ideas and they'll do their own separate thing. But when we combine and when we're collaborating together, there's going to be a universe where someone's going to go, oh, I know that guy. You know, I see them in a few videos. Let me go subscribe to him. You know, that's the whole play that I want to do. And I think that's what needs to happen for sure. But yeah, it's kind of insane.
The consistency of that collaboration. I mean, we've seen people do it so many times before. You already mentioned Sidemen, and then even we mentioned Vanos's group. I mean, they're some pioneers of a group of people getting together, like-minded individuals doing like-minded things. And the fact that they were so consistent with it all the time, they just worked off of each other, and it turned into something special, something huge.
And the thing is those are the names and groups that are the biggest in the entertainment group. Even Mr. Beast, like it's Mr. Beast, but it's like you got your Carl and all of them, like who are also part of that group, and they also have their own followings too. So yes, it is Mr. Beast, but like no matter what, if you look at any of the biggest channels, the most watched channels today, it's a group of people. It's always going to be a group of people. Like I would say 80% of the channels that are really big are probably a group of people. I don't know. I'm not gonna say these like numbers randomly, but
fact check that.
I'm talking. Yeah, if I'm talking Banos, like Sidemen, Mr. Beast. I'm trying to think of another one. Like FaZe Rug even has his own like people that he works with, because it makes the content process easier. One person has an idea, but no matter what, it doesn't just depend on the sole creator. It depends on what the creator created to give you the creation. So then it's just like you just get freedom to do more than you would have if it was just you. And I think people need to realize that, yes, YouTube and growing yourself, the grind is a solo game. However, you can have a solo game and then tag in a second player for one round and go back to solo. That should be how it works, because then you guys are just making more high scores if we're using games in an instance. You know what I mean? Like it just makes the process more fun. If I did not do Design Royale and did more people coming in, I would have never came up with ideas for other YouTube videos for like Fiverr or like for redrawing or like whatever it was. Blindfold. I would have not have done that. Yeah, Blindfold. Like I would have never have thought of that if I didn't take the step of introducing myself to other people's ideas and the way they want to navigate the way they are. It's mind-blowing to me that I went this long without doing it. And if anyone's doing it for content, if you're doing it alone, it's gonna work. It could work, but it'll be way more better for you if you had people involved, had a group of something, close people, something. It will work.
Vouch. What's really interesting about the way that all of those groups that we've mentioned, going just back to that real quick, they all got into it very early. So each group that we mentioned relatively started with gaming. They got involved in gaming at a very early time. I mean, like Sidemen got involved with FIFA. They were making a lot of FIFA content. Right now, you're just making these changes, and it's at the perfect time because we're just starting to get involved with graphic design content. I only started making graphic design content within the past 2 years when I decided to make that shift. And it was relatively similar to when you started. Granted, I've been doing graphic design for many years, but it was just completely separate from the industry. So now that we're seeing this shift where now we can create this entertaining graphic design content in a way that's just, I wouldn't say necessarily copying the same way that gaming has done. It's just created almost a blueprint for us to kind of go off of, seeing, okay, here's an industry that we're very close to and they're very close to us. We see how they were successful. We were with it. We grew up with it. Now let's see if we can implement that with our own endeavors.
For sure. And what I think is also important to note as well is that graphic design is still looked at as a career that people think they can do. Here's a hot take. It's actually not that fucking hot. Graphic design is way more than just making a pretty picture. It's way more than just getting the job done. It's getting the job done right. It's way more than just putting things together that looks cool. It's getting things that looks cool, but also says a clear message that can use for branding, and that it's not designed for today. It's designed for tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. A lot of people think they can do design, so it makes the universe of us that are content creators kind of hold this aura that it's just like, oh, he's just a designer. You know, that's cap. Bullshit, stupid to think, whatever. However, that's the reality of like the real world of like how people still see us that are not in design or not a creative in their own right. Maybe like creatives on YouTube might know the importance of graphic design because they have to work with them so very often. But when it comes to like, let's say if I wanted to collaborate with like an X name that I'm very aware of, that I work close with, when if I go to parties, like they say hi, we're good. But if we do content together, they're probably not going to want to do it, not because they don't want to work with me, but because they're going to be like, it's just, it's just art in the real world. Like, it doesn't sound right when I say it, but that's genuinely how I think people who are outside of the scope see it. No pun intended. Who are outside the scope see it. So like where I see it, I think I just need, there needs to be a pioneer in the sense that is doing it. And that's why I hope if I'm hoping there's a pioneer, hopefully it could be myself, that is like taking people who you see that are not designers and whatever fact. Like I tested it out with JHB, but then recently I talked with like Tarek, and Tarek was like, yo, it'd be so sick if we did like a thing on my stream where I'm like, you teach me how to do design. I'm like, where's more people like you? Because that's who we need to like navigate these things. These big name brands who give a dang about us, right? And like who will experience what we do and break the mold of like we're just artists. No, this shit's hard. Like if you want to do it right, and like you might look at art and be like, oh, I could have done that. Yeah, you could have done that, but would you have done it so right where the research, this, and whatever was correct? Probably not. You know what I mean? Like you probably would have not done it the way that it should have been done. But now that you saw that it's right, you think that you can do it. So when you copy it and you put it in a different world, you're like, this doesn't really make any sense. And you go, then you just don't understand it. No. So like, I'm glad that there's people out there who are willing to do so. I just wish that it was more. And I think I need to like really take an act on
showing by example.
Yeah, exactly. So like I need to absolutely do myself. Like speaking about it myself, I'm like, dang, he told me this like a few months ago and I've yet to act on it and like put pressure on it. Not pressure, but like genuinely be interested and like make it a thing, a reality. Is there's still that needs to happen, and that's a purposeful, like it's something I messed up on. But if you have the connection and the right to do it, there's no reason why I can't, or someone else can't, whoever has like a friend who's a content creator who's really close with, like there's no reason why it can't happen. You know what I mean? So I dang, now I'm thinking about it, I kind of messed that one up. But hey, now I know. So it's because it just becomes an idea of like, we need to make sure that we break the mold that artists are just artists. No, they're visionaries, they're thinkers, they're personalities. They are great in every right. So I don't know. It's a hard mold to break, but hopefully it starts with myself. If it is not myself, I cannot wait for that person to break it for us so that we can all grow. Because realistically, when you look at the scene, you might only really think about 5 people who are entertainment and who have numbers. And these numbers are small in their own right. If one person breaks out, that brings everybody up. Right. When they say the whole one boat, whatever.
Yeah, the water boat thing. All boats rise. Yeah.
It's true. So if it's me, I'm helping everybody else, and I'm taking that in stride. And if someone else goes up here and they do a really great idea, like I'm like, yes, like great. Now I can go ahead and figure out how to leverage this idea that you have over here and put it into my own right and put a whole new thing on it. It's so wild to me. It's so wild to me how many people are scared to share their ideas on YouTube or actually go ahead and press record. It's actually wild to me. And I feel like I actually saw this tweet earlier. Someone said, what do you think your high school experience would be if it was so social, like high network followers now? Like I feel like if I was in high school, you're a freshman in high school, and with the world being so revolved about numbers, would your life be different? Would you be like have struggled, or would you have been way more popular maybe? You know what I mean? Like I was thinking about that. I was like, dang, like that's kind of crazy. Like I'd be scary. Okay. I would have had a YouTube. I'd be all right. Yeah. But there's a world where like that pressure is growing into their professional life or into their ideas now. So like maybe it's being stunted because people are so aware of like how much pressure there is when it comes to being a social personality or whatnot. So like they don't want to do that to themselves, or like they're scared of getting exposed or something like that from something they did 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like I had to go through tweets that I was in my COD days and I was like, damn.
Oh my God.
If anyone wanted to ruin me, they'd ruin me right here, right now. But it's something like to worry about. So it's something like I understand why people don't want to be that. When in this world and day and age now, I think social anxiety is a big thing too. People do not like being around other people, not because they don't like them, they just don't know how to react or do or whatever. Me, I'm a social butterfly extrovert, but I know what an introvert looks like, and it's I understand the ideas of, you go to these parties and you're seeing, the Valkyries, Bella Porch, like Bretman just walk by you casually, say hi to you, you're just like, and you just want to leave. Like that's not me, but I'm just saying I know that people who's like that, and it's very fair. So like it's scary, but I wish and I hope whoever's listening, right? Because if they're watching you, if they watch me, then they have to be someone interested in design. So if it's you, I'm looking at you, please try YouTube channel out. I'll most likely support you because I'm trying to have us all rise. So like, try something. That's all I'll say.
Thinking from a business mindset, get in now while you can. If you're someone that's really interested in making graphic design content, one, I mean, there's no negative consequences that are coming to it. It's nothing but benefits that come in creating this content. One, you're getting in very early in a very different way than people have been doing up until this point. Two, you have a way to actually get your work out there in front of people that don't necessarily even are really into design. I mean, especially on the short form content platforms, your work is constantly being pushed out to people that aren't even graphic designers. So those people who aren't graphic designers but might find some interest in it and an interest in the process, whatever it might be, whatever type of content that you're interested in, you're going to have a whole new audience coming to you.
Yep. Yeah. And I think, I mean, TikTok is, bro, if I had TikTok 10 years ago, oh my God, I'd be at like 1 billion subscribers by now, I swear it. The issue with like, I think that's the reason why a lot of people are also turned off, is that it's so accessible and so doable. Some people just don't want to do it because it's not a challenge in their own right until they get into it and they realize, oh, maybe it's, you know, I can't tell you how many times I've heard this. Oh, I don't want to start TikTok because I know how to get popular on it. I can't put like that much effort into it right now.
That's ridiculous.
BS. That was me 3 months ago. I know the truth. I'm speaking it because I felt that way. And since I felt that way, I know that was BS. I was just trying to defend myself in this right that I'm like, I can do it if I want to. But that mentality needs to break immediately if you actually want to do something, because it's not easy. You might pop off one video, but who's to say, you know, if you get a 1 million viewed video, who's to say even 0.05% follow you? Or did you do it right? Did you get the entertainment right? Did you make it series? Did you make it a recurrable thing that people can go back and say, I want to watch a new video of the same exact video? Did you do that? Probably not. You probably didn't think about it like that. So like when it comes to like, how about this? What if okay, I'm gonna give one tip, you give one tip on if someone wants to start content creation right now. I'm gonna shoot it back to you first.
Okay,
if someone wants to create content creation right now, what would you say they should do today to prep themselves to start next week?
Oh, wow. Oh, that's tough. That's really tough. I mean, apart from any equipment getting anything like that.
Let's say they have the general equipment that they need. Absolutely. Like they have a mic, at least. If they have a smartphone camera, they can use their camera. They have a good enough computer where they can record. Let's say they have all the necessities, but never dove into the idea of content creation. What would be the one thing you'd be like, yo, like Seso, you should do this right now and then prep for this so that way next week that comes, you can skyrocket?
I'd say watch as much quality content as you can and watch it in a way that you're looking at how they created it. So not just watching it from just a viewer's perspective, be like, okay, if I was to recreate something like this from these already popular videos that are already successful, but you want to put your own twist on it that fits into your specific niche, look at the process of what they went through to create it. You know, have that mentality in mind.
That's actually pretty nice. Like the way I registered that was like, you're taking it, if I'm watching like a Sideman video, I'm looking at what the pacing is, how much context do they really give in like a full situation. Like I'm sure a recording session can take 10 hours, but they somehow brought that 10 hours down to 35 minutes. Okay, what was important and what was not important? They used subtitles here, they zoomed in here, they emphasized this here, they turned off the music there, they zoomed in on their face here. Like there's these things that actually can come together. So I'd love that tip. That's a good one. My tip would probably be is that if they're gonna start anything, try to make it something that can be seriesed. Whatever the word for like serialized, like is there like a word for like it's just series probably? Yeah.
Let's just go with that.
Let's just go with that, right?
Episodes,
like,
I guess.
Something, yeah, that could be episodic. There we go. That could be episodic. So like anything that I do, I immediately go, can I do this again if it pops off? That's what I try to say that to myself. So even when it comes down to tweets, if you guys ever realize I put like a tweet out 5 months ago that said maturing as a designer is this, 800 likes. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, boom. All right. So next tweet I do 500 likes. I'm like, oh, okay. So like I made it something that can be a part of my brand where it's just like this me. I'm still me. Sure. The tweets are repeated or the same first 5 words, but the next part of it is me being who I am. It could be a funny thing. It could be more of a inspirational thing. It'd be more like a teasing thing, or like just something. That's just what my brand is when it comes down to my voice and when I talk on Twitter. And so when it comes to that, boom, that's theorized. Or when I do like a random tip, like, hey, a tip for designers, right? And then the next tweet I do is another tip for designers. But that same four first words, that's your branding, right? And then someone, if it popped off the first time, most likely it's gonna pop off the second time because they want to relate that content. So like when you talk about even something as simple as my Monday tweets where I say Mondays suck. That's my interaction.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up.
Mondays suck. So I'm just like, boom, that's my branding to it. So now they know when they see those words, I'm like, I gotta look, I gotta click, and I gotta leave it a like because I want this to continue because it helped me somehow. It was probably funny somehow. It was probably motivating somehow, inspirational somehow. And people want to keep those things up. It's not cringe to be motivational. It's not cringe to be someone, not to depend on, you don't want to have much people depend on you in that way, but like it's not cringe to make someone smile in whatever right? There's no universe. I know people out there who think it's so weird to be this person or say something on Twitter that's like cringe, like fuck off. I don't know how to explain that. Like that's just weird to me. You're weird to me. This over here is how I want to do it. So I think my thing is like make your things episodic so that way you can repeat them. Like I want to give one more example. I did something a year ago. It was creating Valorant skins. I did a Poke skin, right? This is the first time I ever did this. I was like, okay, before I tweet this out, what should I do? So I was like, okay, creating a Valorant Vandal skin concept. In quotations, put the creator's name and the Vandal. Then I put the Vandal in there with the created skin, and then was like, okay, who do I do next? I made it episodic. I gave it branding with the quotations because I just randomly did that. If you ever look at my tweets, you'll see purposeful interactions, like adding a symbol so that way someone can relate to it again and then be like, I want to see this again. Regardless, the tweet popped off. My best tweet ever had at that time was 10K likes, and I was like, yes, because what that meant was that I had an idea that can work another time. So I did Shroud, 7K views. I did Myth, 8K likes. I'm just like, this is working. So if I didn't do that, would I have had the same reaction? I don't know. Maybe. But I made it so easy to react with it again that it popped off again. So I don't know. I would say episodic. And the your tip was to basically study and like write things down that you notice and see. So, so it's gonna help somebody. It's gonna help somebody. There's no way that doesn't help somebody.
Yeah, see what's interesting about your tip, well, specifically the Valorant skins, is that you went into it. You had no idea that the Pokemon skin concept was gonna do numbers. You didn't go into it going like, oh, 10K likes right here easily. It's the fact that you experimented with it, and I think that's probably even the most important tip going into it, because I feel like a lot of people try to perfect everything before going into it. It's just start pumping stuff out and experimenting with what works and what doesn't.
Absolutely true. And because of that, it skyrocketed into getting more and more people. I had like, my first interaction with Jordan Fisher on Twitter was like, I want you to do a skin concept for me. So
I remember that
doing
tweet.
This, it made my networking easier. I'm like, oh, sure, I'll do one for you, Jordan Fisher. Follows me back. What do you want? Boom, that interaction. Now I made that interaction. Now we're cool. Now when I see my partners, I'm like, yo, what's up? I was like, what's up? So that happens, right? It would not have happened if I didn't make something that people wanted to also be in. You know what I mean? Like there was something that was like, oh, Seso, if he makes a skin concept, it's gonna pop off. I want him and me to do next, because realistically, who wouldn't want more numbers on their socials or want? No matter what, most people in this world, and I will love the attention. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, and it's like some people don't like it, but most people will love the attention or will love a way to get it. And in that case, it was a Jordan Fisher in the statement. Not gonna call you out, but that's the truth. We all know it. I love Jordan. But like it worked, right? And then with that, fast forward 8 months later, Valor hits me up and like, hey, sis, you want to look at our skins? I'm like, what? And because that I was this person that created something here, made it cool and episodic there, they're like, okay, this is something that he can vouch for. So Valorant hits me up, Doodle Skins, I'm in Vegas. They're like, hey, Seso, would you want to get a call next week and just kind of look at our new skin line? And, you can't really talk about it, but you can record some content for it. We'll retweet you on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. We just want you to be the person who does something. And it worked. You know what I mean? Like, there's this universe where networking can be how you operate your socials. So for me, my networking, I don't go out of my way talking to people or go to parties or go to, not often, but like I don't go to parties to talk to people. I don't go to bars. I don't go to functions, meetings, whatever. No, my way of communicating networking, my strategy is through social media. And it's the easiest way, in my opinion. But there are those opportunities that you can do it from like a party, a meeting, or whatever, and do it that way. But that's how it works, and it worked for me. So like, I think it's really easy to replicate. And that's just what I'll say.
That's what works best in our industry too, is because I mean, like, you specifically live in a very specific area where, I mean, those in-person meetups can do wonders for the networking. But for the most part, when it just comes to the industry, I mean, like, it's internet based. So working with people on their internet just like is what's going to work.
And I feel like we use networking a lot of times and yet to explain what it really truly means. Because I think if you were to tell me, yeah, you need to be a better communicator, you need to be a better networker, you need to be a better designer, I don't know, whatever, right? So, okay, someone goes, I know how to do these two, but what the heck is networking, right? If you told me you got a network at 16, I'd be like, I don't want to use anybody. So there's this universe where people think networking means using someone. No. What networking is, and there's like this underlying layer where sure, there's like, if you would simplistically say it that way, yes, in a way. But what happens is you're giving someone something in return that you can offer something.
Mutually beneficial.
It's mutual, perfect word to say it, because it's not that you're using them. You guys are using your brands to correlate and combine, to collaborate. The word networking can also be word collaborating. Collaborating is networking. So like, don't have to think about, if you wanted to, network with me, the idea is not to be like, hey, Seso, can I be in this video to help me out? That's not networking. That's more like, chill the fuck out, stay in your lane, no thanks. I'd offer it to more be like, hey, so I want to be a content creator. I would love to if I can be in your Design Royale series. I think I'm pretty fun and energetic, and I have a nice camera mic. This to me says like, oh, this guy is he's gonna make this video better. That's beneficial. Let's put him in here, and like in return, he gets what he wants. I get what I would want too. And now that makes more sense for us to go, let's hit it. But if you go into with like an interaction that you need to take something without even offering anything, that's a no-no, right? So that's where I think when I say the word networking in that one example, that's how I would do it, right? It's not, you're not taking, you're not even offering, you're just speaking it into existence of like what could happen. You don't want to tell someone what you should do. You want to offer something that they can do and how you could also help without like really selling yourself, but making it beneficial for both of you guys. So that's what I mean by networking. I feel like we use it a few times. It might help someone out there who's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe it'll connect. Mentioning what value you provide. Just putting it out there. Be like, hey, this is what I do. This is who I am. This is what I can do. And just letting the other person, hit the ball back to your side of the court.
Exactly. Let them make their own decision. If it doesn't catch, it doesn't catch. That's not your network. That's not it, right? But if you go to someone else, you do that. You do it 10 times. Maybe three people will say something back. That's all you need, right? Because then those three people have other friends, right, that you can probably connect with. Now you have a mutual friend that someone's like, oh, you talk with Seso. Maybe you're like, cool. I'll give you the follow back. It happens. I'm not gonna not say that it doesn't happen. Just because someone else follows you that has importance doesn't mean someone else won't follow you. It happens. I'm not gonna say it's the only way to get followers. I'm just saying that's a universe where it does work. But like, I don't know. I would say don't think networking as taking. Just think networking as a mutual beneficial. I love that, the way you said that.
Podcast peeps, I'm going to give you guys a couple announcements while we do this quick little intermission. Number one, we got Seso's Everything Pack, and just as the title says, it literally has everything. Any asset that you could want as a graphic designer, he has it in this pack. And since using it, I've done it for client projects and for commission work, and I absolutely love it. And the best part is, it's at a $30 price point on his Selfie website, but with that $30 price point, it's a one-time fee. So as he continues to add assets to this Everything Pack throughout the next years, decades, whatever it might be, you don't have to pay any extra as these new things come out. It just comes directly to you once you pay that one-time price. Again, make sure you guys check it in the description below. Seso's Everything Pack. Now for announcement number 2, a lot of you guys know me from my 365 series where I redesigned a logo every day for 365 days. It did absolutely incredible on TikTok, blew up, and helped me establish my name as a graphic designer within this community. However, since finishing the challenge, I felt like it's been really hard for me to gather my bearings on exactly what I want to do, especially within content. I mean, right now we're making the podcast, and that's obviously going to be doing very well. And I love doing this and having these discussions and having the opportunity to have these discussions with people in the industry. However, I miss having that challenge. So naturally, I'm going to be doing another 365. This time, it's going to be a little bit different though. I'm not going to be doing logos. I'm going to be designing t-shirts every day for 365 days. I'll get more into it in another video and another announcement, but just wanted to lay that on you guys. All right, back to the podcast.
I think the next step from that too is that once designers start trying to get on their own 2 feet is talking about the ability to monetize. Whether it's not just straight up just doing commissions or just straight up doing design work, but finding other creative ways. And I think one of the best ways that you did that is your everything pack, which I just bought and I looked through and I was just mind blown by everything that was included. Incredible. Do you want to speak on that about the time put into that and the mentality of putting that out into the world?
It was I'll tell you the exact date actually. It was right after my sister's birthday in 2012. I was outside after my sister's birthday playing football with my friends in the park, and I was like, hey guys, I'm trying to remember the exact we're just like talking while we're passing the ball. This is like before we started playing. We're just passing the ball, and I'm just like yo, like my Selfie makes like $100 a week, but like it's hard to sell everything like separately because I don't want to tweet out 8 times a day selling things because I don't want to look like a sellout. I was like, what if I put a package of everything for like a high price now, but I know I'm going to be an artist for 3+ years, etc., and I want to do things and make the pack something bigger than it is. Like, what if I were to make this one single pack that sells all my assets, they plus get future stuff free, so the $30 tag is realistically, it's kind of expensive, right? We're talking like half a video game that you can play for 6 hours, something that you might use every once in a while for the next 2 years. You know, there's that value of like, and also I thought about how, you know, young my audience is. Like $30 is a lot of money if you're 16 years old and you don't really got a job or some shit like that. But it's something to look forward to, just saying. But I was like, okay, $30 price point. Now I probably had a brush pack, like 5 packs that maybe included a total value of like $54. So now, instead of me having to sell each individual thing that they might know that they might not know that they need until they actually receive it and get it and use it. So I'm going to give them basically all of it for cheaper if they were to like purchase it all in one. And then boom, right? I did it. And I think I sold like 3. And I was like, I made $90 in a day. I'm like, before I was making like $114 a week. So I'm just like, this is something, because I made it easy to understand like what the value is. It's everything pack for life. Get future products plus current products free. You know what I mean? Or get current products plus future products free. So like I made a simple, easy one-liner, and it started kicking off a little bit. So I'm just like, okay, the way for this to work for even a year is I need to make sure I actually put things in, because art is ever developing, and like the thing you did a pack about 6 years ago is not going to work today. So what's cool is that you can still have those packs I did 9 years ago, but like, are they going to be that viable to you? Probably not, but you don't know. You really don't know until you actually see and use it. So like something like my linear pack that is 4 years old now, I use every now and again because of like this one texture that I just love to use. And if I didn't have it, I wouldn't be able to have it, right? But like there's stuff in there that could definitely be usable. But the cool thing about it is the everything pack is an ever-growing pack for me. It'll always have the same exact value as it would have done 6 years ago based on my current like design knowledge, right? It's probably even more valuable now. Maybe I should probably say that like my $30 knowledge today would have been $1,000 7 years ago. But keeping that same price makes it easy to be attainable. It makes it have like a sort of like journey of like, when you're an artist, you might want to pick up the everything pack because most people probably have whatever, right? Like in the community in the sense, right? So you're just like, it has the evergreen to it. It has the idea that it has a legacy. It is viable. It is something that people should get whatever. This is just how I'm thinking about it if someone was, interacting to it. So it's just like, it was something that I was trying to figure out a way, trying to sell my stuff without tweeting 8 times a day. Because back in the day, I was tweeting on Twitter. I had a scheduled tweet. This is when I got TweetDeck for the first time, and I still use it. But I had TweetDeck because you can schedule tweets. I would schedule one tweet at 10 a.m., 3 a.m., and 9 p.m., right? Every day, the same exact tweet. Pretty stupid, but it worked. Like, every single day. And I did that for, 8 months. And I think my tweets probably, got, 3 likes. And I'm just like, hey, at least they know what the everything pack is. They got to know. I tweeted it 3 times. So, yeah, I was selling every day. But, this is before Twitter became, a real social network for me where I'm not going to be doing that nowadays. But, yeah, I mean, besides even SesoHQ, there's YouTube, there's client work, there's affiliate stuff or sponsors. If you want to talk investments, even though my investments are not a crazy return, but I have around 7 income sources, which just, would not have happened if I'm just not trying things. And I think people might be sleeping on how much you can make with the right intentions on a SesoHQ. I've told friends back in the past, I'm just gonna use Logan Dotson for an instance. He's not gonna care too much. I was like, Logan,
shout out Logan.
You have any? Yeah, I love Logan Dotson. I was like, you have any Lightroom packs? This is what I'm in 100 Thieves. I'm just like, yo, because I would love if you have packs so that I can use it. So that if you're not around 100 Thieves, I can just basically throw on the packs and don't need to ask you for something if you're busy. He was like, I mean, I do, but I don't have a way to send it to you. I was just like, just send it to me. And I was like, I look at him, I'm like, bro, okay. So I was like, yo, Logan, you ever heard of SesoHQ? He was like, nah, what is that? I showed him my SesoHQ, and he was like, you're making that much doing what? I'm like, I don't even do anything. It's just I'm just chilling. I just have a pinned tweet, and that's all I said. And then he was like, huh, okay, so how do you, I was like, I literally told him, I will show you how to do it. I showed him how to do it. Dude makes, what, $1,000 in 2 days off his thing. And he was just like, what I was like, dude, it's not that hard. First off, you're a personality. Second off, you're not selling something that people can't use or will never use ever in their entire existence. They want to be Logan Dotson, so they want to have Logan Dotson's presets.
Right.
It's not something some people think that you're selling things because you want to make money. Sure, it could be a world where, and that's the case. And for me, my thing of selling the everything pack was because I wanted people to have me at the price forever. It's $30 today. I'm going to be so much better. If you looked at the pack and you're like, it's okay, it's a 7 out of 10. 3 years from now, you're going to get every single thing that I do that I want to release for free. It's it's like having a stock in Seso. You got your one stock in Seso for $30. You get to have everything that I'm growing into be.
That's a good way to put it.
It's so underrated. It's so underrated on how easy with the right intentions it is to sell something that people won't want from you. So I don't know, if I'm talking about a U home scope, I'm thinking if I were to do a home scope SesoHQ, what I would sell from you is you have 365 logos of different things. Imagine a world where you put them all into one thing, or if you had project file for all of them and you sold your project files for 365 logos, which realistically would never unbenefit you. It's not like you care, but these are unbranded logos, but someone can look at your project files and see the process, and that could be so valuable to them. You sell it for $30, they'd be like, why would I not want this? You know what I mean?
I never would have
there's a world where that's how I would go for it.
That's project files are huge because then, there's so many different assets that just live there that will never get used, especially by me. Because but anyone could look at that and be like, oh man, there was something back on one of the Premier League logos that I was like, oh, I really liked when he did that. I wish I could have used that for my design. That's a really good way to put that. And one thing that I really liked too, what you said about the selfie thing was you said evergreen. And I use that word kind of recently when I talk about the idea of passive income, because I feel like passive income has gotten such a negative sound to it. People just think that it's this just, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just, there's this mentality that goes along with it where you don't care about what you're selling to people. It's just you're just trying to jam marketing down people's throat just to make a quick buck and get out of there. Where I feel like the evergreen thing, where it's okay, I'm going to be selling you something. It's something that's going to live here forever. But the way that you're putting it is that you're changing it all the time and that you're putting some care into it. And the fact that it is about something that you actually care about, not just let me do drop shipping off of Alibaba. It's okay, I'm actually doing stuff that I care about, right? So I I definitely need to hop on the wagon. I've been kind of slacking a little bit of my own store and selling assets.
Yeah, but sometimes what that comes from is not knowing your audience either. Like, sure, you know what they would like, but do you know what they would actually spend money on? And how you figure that out is you figure out basically what maybe got you the most views, what maybe was the biggest thing, what maybe had the most interactions and tweets. So like recently I put out a pack that was called the background pack because I made something for, I did a Cash App compound halftime show designed for 100 Thieves, right? And I had this cool little swirly pattern thing. And someone was like, I think I had like 10 comments saying like, oh, that's a dope asset. Where'd you get that from? I was like, oh, I just made it myself. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, background pack. And I guess the leading image is exactly the thing they saw that time. It sold. It doesn't sell like crazy like today, but like at that time, maybe it sold like $800 in a week. It was simple, right? It was simplistic. It was easy. I just used exactly what I used for this, put it over here. They're not going to use it anymore. They don't care about it. That's a branding that passes, whatever. Someone else can use it. Ta-da, right? Like there's so much value in designers, especially when it comes to your, let me give you guys some points. Knowledge can be sold. Inspiration can be sold. Design assets can be sold. Teaching can be sold. That's just 4 things that come out of my thoughts. But something that I recently want to do, and I'll just say it to you. I was gonna keep it as a fucking surprise, but I may or may not be working on a book that is basically an inspiration book.
Oh my god!
Literally just different ideas that people can flip through. Like I have this book that George gave to me. It was like a New York. It said like New York something. I forgot. But if you flip through it, it's just basically a whole bunch of New York designed inspiration aesthetic. And I'm just like, it has no value besides you're looking at things and going, ooh, I like this. I can use this in the future. No other value than that. But I adored that so much. I was like, dude, I got 800 videos on YouTube where I know I can package 50 different things and put into a book that can be sold over whatever, even if it only makes, and it wasn't even a money idea. It's something that I think people would love to do, and something I would love to do, that it can sell $1,000 a year. It doesn't matter, 10 years, $10,000, I don't know, $12,000. It's just extra, but the value that someone gets when they do get it should be fucking incredible. So I was like, I want to do that, so now I'm doing it. So there's that.
Wow. That is a bomb that you just dropped.
Yeah.
Holy, that's, oh my God, man. And the fact that, wow. What's inspiring you is like straight up design in the book. I was thinking like almost like an autobiography type thing where you're going to be like, even like just teaching straight up in it too, or like something like that. Like a Michael Janda type book, but you're, no. Wow. That's,
let's just say
incredible.
Also possibly, maybe, could be, potentially be, possibly, almost could be also working on a course thing, but like
that's what I was just about to ask you, because I feel like a lot of people are on the fence about this, especially like design content creators and just like content creators as a whole that just make YouTube videos where it's like, I provide this value for free to people. I'm sure you get paid from ad revenue, AdSense, and that's fine. But for the most part, it's like, I provide this value. I only want to do it this way because I feel like that makes me unique. However, I feel like that when it comes to any YouTuber that's making that content, you can go much more in depth and start creating these courses, one, for way longer videos, and for an audience that's very interested in the much more in-depth stuff that you can't necessarily show, and then monetize off that.
My thing is I've never been a lecturer, right? My videos are never about like, let's say like a George Nowak, who is very much so of a lecturer, like in this clear point, slide by show, slides, like all that noise. It's great for those people who can learn that way. For me, fucking hated college. I dropped out, right? Like, you know, I dropped out, took a break, ended up dropping out because I didn't need it anymore in my eyes, right? It's just like, I can't learn through the ideas of, sure, I can teach in the connections of using words, but to me, if I visually see it, it makes a whole difference. And if I visually see it and I laugh while doing it, you probably retain it more because like, that's just the nature of it. You could recall probably like 5 jokes from a Kevin Hart movie because it stuck with you. It had that moment of like, it made you laugh, it was funny, and it probably was witty or smart, right? I would love for my course to be funny, kind of, right? Not like overly trying to be funny, but just like comfortable and more focused on the visual learning of it while having the words be the underlying connecting factor, but not having it be connecting factor through words, then visual, then funny. I want it to be the opposite.
Right.
And with that becomes like you'll get a different audience, and my audience, and especially I know what my audience is. They love the idea of visual connection through having fun. And every time I hear my videos, like, oh, Seso, I love how you're always so high energetic, or I love how you're always so like ready to, you feel like you're having fun, because I am having fun. But like that whole idea is like, it's so valuable to learn from someone that is actually enjoying it, and you can vividly feel that they're enjoying it. You'll have a lot more enjoyment. So that's how I want to design my course, is to be like, it's gonna be fun. Like, it's not gonna be something you're gonna toot on for like an hour and be like, oh, okay, I gotta study this. Let's go back. I mean, this is not how I want to do it. But there's some people who like love that stuff and can't do the funny. Like, just teach me how to do it, period. Yeah. So that's how I want to do it.
Awesome. I'm super excited. I'll sign up just to support the homie and probably even learn more than I've already learned from you just from your videos. Are you gonna do any Cinema 4D stuff in there? I did scroll through a while back and look through your old videos, and I saw that there were some interesting designs. I mean, even back then there was like this there was like a barbed wire one that you did, but that was like, I just can't believe that you did that stuff like all before Adobe, bro. Like that.
Yeah.
Whew.
I mean, Cinema 4D was fun for what it was. It was fun. It was a playground. I never use it for what its intentions was for. I use it for I use it for asset creating for my projects. I didn't use it for creating the asset and then doing posts in a Photoshop. Yeah, Cinema 4D was fun, but I'm not nowadays. What I was doing 7 years ago is not going to work.
Right.
But it was still fun.
Yeah. I was blown away during that what was it, the one round that I was in, that first round of logo design in the design royale, when one of the designers, I forgot who it was it
David?
Oh, it was David. Yeah, no, when he just pulls out Cinema 4D, I was like, what are we doing here?
This guy, he was going hard. He was definitely going hard. But no, I mean, I think an overall sort of closing statement is like, I think the world of art and entertainment is so vivid, but none of us right now, it's only like I can only think of like 5 genuine people that are doing what I would think I'm doing, like how I want to navigate things, and 5 people out of the, I don't know, let's just say like if we're talking esports community, general base number 30,000 artists, 5 people really only that I can think of that maybe and I'm paying a lot more attention nowadays. And there's only like so many, like a handful I can really genuinely say like they're trying to do this. I wish there was more people, because then we can move this shit faster. Right now, people are just like kind of watching the sidelines, like, oh, so design a reality. I mean, maybe I do a video like that. Sure, that works. But imagine if you were doing something over here, and like then, someone over here can be like, oh, this is how you make it better. This is how you make it better. This is how you make it better. Now this is how you make it better, faster, and easier to understand. This is how you make it better, faster, easier to understand, and then 10 times more playful. This is how you make it. We would work so much faster. However, I understand social anxiety, knowing the pressure, and like the idea that not everyone wants to be a personality. Which is why I was kind of go back to the whole thing about if you were in school today, like how important is your social media to school? That'd be kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I just want to say, I want more of you guys out there, and I also think one of the craziest things that I get a lot in my DMs on my second account is, hey, Seso, can I do this video? Blah blah blah. I'm like, what did you just ask me? Like, you're asking me if you want to do a YouTube video, bro? Why are you coming to me? I'm not trying to gatekeep anyone. I think people think I genuinely want to gatekeep YouTube design to just me. I don't want to do that. I haven't wanted to do that for so long. Maybe like 3 years ago, not even a cap. Maybe I would be like, hey, you can't do this video because like whatever. That's just like the meta. But like, there's no universe today that I gatekeep. Can I do an idea of design royale, or can I do an idea with me and my friends are designing in a group? Of course you can. Are you dumb? Like, of course if your video pops off, my video's gonna pop off. Like, work together. Like, I don't care about that.
They have there's this like etiquette that comes with the internet, and especially with YouTube when it comes to content creation, that I feel like people that, even our viewers, they kind of have this narrative where it's like, oh, if someone's already created this, then it's like that's officially theirs, like hands off. Like, you could do your own thing with like a different twist on it, but that's like the extent of it, or else like you'll just be called a copier, And one thing that I definitely fault from too, that I think that well, we could potentially do is that there are a couple designers that have reached out to me about doing videos on their channel. And I feel like that's something that maybe we should take a dive in. If we want to see the community grow a little bit more and get everyone on board, get these ships to rise, is to take the time and be involved with some of these creators who do look up to us, you know?
Yeah, that's something that took me a while to grasp. I'll be honest, the past 3 years has been like me toning down the hidden ego that I had, but I never showed. I mean, I'm not gonna like sit here and lie and be like I was this I don't know how you say it, carefree, just fun, whatever guy at all times of the day. Sure, like that's who I am, but who I also present is like an even more polished off version of it. But like I definitely had this universe where I'm like, I don't want to do a video with you. You're just trying to like take something from me and use it for a beneficial for you. That was something that I was very hard. It was hard to understand why I cared so much about that part of it. And I think the genuine reason was because I've been in this community for 12 years where like the idea of not sharing what you got was like this thing that was brought up in the Call of Duty community. Like you're not going to, like for instance, like if you were hanging out with FaZe people, you only hang out with FaZe. No one was able to hang out with them because they weren't whatever. That whole thing, I literally grew up with that. Like grew up in the middle. Like I was in those FaZe groups. Like I was there. Like I grew up with that mentality. I kind of hit it. And I was just like, it's not something I wanted to do, but I thought was correct because I saw how they skyrocket. Like it made sense. Like, but the way you should navigate it, because you shouldn't be friends with everyone. You should definitely only network and be around the people that you genuinely want to like either take inspiration from or learn from or vice versa, whatever. But there's some times where I'm just like, I didn't think of it that way. I thought of it, I gave it another reason that was the same reason, but a more negative connotation to it, which made me think differently. So I'm like, that's not how I want to think about it. I should think about it this way. I don't want to do a video with you because I don't think right now is the time, right? I don't think, it's not that you don't deserve to have me in a video. I don't think right now is the time that you should be focusing on shortcutting before you even get to point A. Like
right.
You went from straight to D. That's sure. Like it makes sense that you want to do that because like I am easy to attain. I'm easy to DM. I'm easy to talk to you, but that idea shouldn't be high. Like that's just not how I don't want someone to just benefit. And sure, even if it was a fun video, I don't want someone to just benefit and skip the hard part.
Right.
Then I don't know.
Yeah.
Was it worth it for me to do it? Yeah. Like I didn't want people to just be like, was it worth it for me to do this video with you right now? And the answer would be no, because you quit 2 months later. Now your channel's dead and whatever. Right.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I wanted to see something before I gave what I know I can give. So that's just the way I should have been thinking about it. But my way that I was just thinking about it because of my tainted, like, you know, years of growing up on the internet. And so, and like, I've been on a pillar for quite a long time now. It's just like, I want to make sure that's not how I consider it and think about it. That's my interaction of why I don't do things all the time with people. And even now doing it with like a you or like a, you know, Bluebell or like learning with like Design Royale, I've learned that intentions are great, but some people just suck at communication. Yeah. Which is also a factor. Yeah. Like, so it's just like, I need to make sure, and I'm going to say my own ass on this. So I just like, it wasn't because I was trying to be a dick and ego. It was because I didn't know how to talk to someone who didn't walk first. Like I didn't know how to do it yet. Now I do. So if you were to come to me today and you're a brand new guy with 100 subscribers and like, hey, I want to do a podcast with you, I'm gonna be like, why do you want to do the podcast? What are you gonna be doing differently? And just using podcast example for today, but like, how are you gonna do it differently? Like, what's the marketing gonna be like? What's the plan afterwards? Who are you gonna get after me? Is always my question. If they don't have anyone after me, they have no reason to come to me first. Like, if you have no idea how to capitalize, then what's the point? But like, if you kind of be like, yeah, I want to do you first. Yeah, George confirmed last time. Homescope confirmed the third episode. I would love for you to be the first person. I'm like, that makes sense to me. You know what? Fuck it. Right? But if you kind of be like, hey, so I want to start a podcast. I would love for you to be the first person on it. Yeah, you like, what do you think? I'm like, I'm like, all right, who's coming on next? I don't really know yet, but I just know that you're the perfect first person. Hate that. I'm like, that's a negative for me. I'm just like, that means you have no idea what you want to do. Yeah. So you got to start walking before you try to come to me. I'm not trying to sound this fucking big boy, but like, it's obvious that I do have the numbers and I do have the people want to hear me talk sometimes, right? So like, it's just like, I didn't want to give someone something that they didn't not deserve, but earn yet. Yeah. From my perspective.
I totally get it. I hear you wholeheartedly. And I agree. I mean, it's at that point where it's okay. Well, when you try to reach out to someone, I mean, like, in no way, shape, or form, again, like, not trying to gatekeep. I'm right with you. But it's the idea of like, if you're trying to create something, then create it. Do it. It. Don't rely on someone else to bring you up to that point. It is a long, grueling ride. And anyone who has made content, I mean, especially in our industry, but like, just like for anyone in general that's just like made content, you know that like there is a lot of trials and tribulations that come with it. And you gotta just start working at it and have a resume to show of like, okay, here's what I've done. Here's what I've done. And here's where I think that you could provide something for this.
Yeah. And nowadays content is so fast and like, it's so, how do you say this? It's so easy with the right execution to get something hella fast, like on a TikTok. If you made this plan if you sat down and actually try to make a plan of how you want to navigate TikTok for 1 month, like before you even post a video, and you had 30 videos lined up off of your month preparation, you had this blasting out the best content you could and like the most like prestigious, like not prestigious, polished content you could in its own right, it's gonna come off like you're like 10 times hard working. What I'm trying to basically say is that I think with the world of TikTok and how like people are always searching for the next Seso or people Homescope, next Sidemen group, whatever, they're always searching for that. If you can be that and present that, there's no reason why it doesn't work and happen. So if it doesn't work and happen, maybe you have to switch something out, right? It's not you need to put something in, you got to switch something out. There's something wrong here. Take back and forth. People just like to sort of take too much. That's fair. That's my mentality when I was growing into the community too. I would love to figure out how to quote unquote take from somebody in a way that like, is maybe like a 60%, 40%. I give 40, they give 60, which is not very fair. It's something I had to learn too, but like, yeah, I mean, it's if anyone wants to use a myself, a you, a George, even like try to use the people who are up next, because they have ideas that have yet to be polished, maybe, or they do, but like growing with someone at a stage 1 and not trying to get from someone from a stage 5 is so much easier, because just because you took stage 5 doesn't mean 5's audience is going to come to stage 1. Right. There's no way. What's the point? Like you're trying to compare, for sure, and you shouldn't be comparing, but you shouldn't compare the content I do for whatever here and there, and like you come over to your channel, it's no polishment whatsoever. It's just like they're not going to subscribe even if they get the views. You know what I mean? Like something needs to happen there. That's just kind of how I mean it.
The consistency is what's most important across the board.
But more than consistency, a good idea. You don't even have to be consistent about it. Like, even if you post once a fucking week or once every 2 weeks, as long as the idea was good, then that tells me something's right. Right? Because, like, Bluebell posts once every month, but her ideas, I'm just like, how did you think of that? Every time I'm DMing her, I'm like, what made you want to do Photoshop upside down? Like, how do you even build that? How do you even design with your voice? She designed with her voice, but she used a grid system where it clicks through. She has to say 1 grid, 2 grid, like 7, 17. That I'm just like, how the fuck do you think about it like that? It's just like, it's wild to me what happens when you give someone, the right person, the audience that they deserve. Yeah, it just makes it so much better, man.
I will say there's so many people that come in the Twitch stream now that are just like, hey, I saw you on Design Royale, so I wanted to check you out. And now they're like subscribers to the channel and come in all the time.
Oh, love that. Yeah, that's something I knew you were someone I was like, I got to bring this guy back. It's not the reason why I'd let you not go through the first round, but it was just like an idea. It's like this dude was way too much fun. I recorded another episode after that. It was a different like design platform, but it was like, I was like, the energy here is completely off. I'm just like, now I know where the bar should be.
Yeah.
And so I called off that episode after the first
I appreciate
round.
that.
I'm like, I was just like, guys, not gonna lie, none of you guys were talking enough. None of you guys were like trying to like do something with this. I want to do something with this. It's nothing against you as the person you are, because right now I know everyone's not a content creator. Not everyone wants to record and talk to them to thousands of people. But like, I know what I want. And if I could coach through it, I would, but it's not the game. You know what I mean? I can't control the narrative, because the whole point is to be you're the narrative. So if you're not the narrative, I can't help. So like, I gotta call off the video. So if anyone wants to know, I've canceled 3 design royales so far, and I've had 5. You know what I mean? Like, that should say a lot of how much I really try to make it polished and great.
Yeah.
So like, that's when bringing you apart, I was like, if I bring him, I immediately know the energy is going to change, and people, when it comes to energy, are just gravitated toward it, and they'll want to do the same. And it's not like people want to copy. They just want to be, they can be themselves. If I'm so myself, if you're so yourself, someone's like, okay, I'll make a joke. You know, I'm funny too. Like, it's just how it works.
Right.
And it's just like, that's why I brought you back. And I was like, this guy is someone I want to bring with me, along with, like I said, a Bluebell, because I think her ideas of thinking and your ideas of entertainment, they're so abstract and great in their own. You guys are in completely different worlds. However, if we put them all in the same world, just fucking imagine what can happen. It's just like stupidly great things can happen.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I want to get into this last part. Thank you for that too. I think one of the biggest reasons why that worked so well too is that like being in those Discord calls with everyone, immediately the second I joined was like I was already trying to break the ice with everyone. I think that's what made everyone more comfortable. So if you could find more people like that, I know it's hard, but as like, again, getting way more involved with everyone in the industry now, and as people come up, if you could find those people, at least one that's just like able to just like break the ice with everyone, I think it's going to make the episodes a lot more consistent and just overall just higher quality.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it is hard to find, just because people, even if they have great personalities, they might have a shitty mic and camera, and like, I just need a certain standard to happen. But yeah, I mean, that's just how it rocks.
Okay, going into the final segment here, now that we've gone through this incredible discussion with Seso, we have any questions asked for him from people on Twitter.
Okay.
So Blitz says, did you ever vision yourself being in the position you are now, and how does it compare to what you had in mind before, if not?
Funny one, because I absolutely knew I was going to get popular. I absolutely knew I was going to be someone. I'm not even going to fucking lie to you.
I love that.
Like, I absolutely knew that I could do what these people did if I stuck with it long enough. I knew. I had the idea. I told you I dropped out of college because I was so sure. Not that I was so sure that I had to risk it. I was so sure that I had something that I can take and make it to something. If I gave the... Dude, I was in... Oh, my God. I didn't say this, but, like, I was in college. For the 2 years I was in college, I did 3.5 years worth of credits. Now, I don't know if you know what that means, but the usual credit takeage is like, I don't know what it is in your states, but like, it could be like a 12 to a 14. I was out here doing 19 credits a semester.
That's absurd.
I was in school. I left my house at 6 a.m. I had a gym class at 12 p.m. that ended at 1:30 a.m. I want people to understand that I dropped out with an intention that I was going to make something, not because I wanted to risk it. So I knew for a fact, if I were to be able to take that time and put it on YouTube, there's no reason why I don't win. So like, sure, I had an idea of what my success should look like and be, but has it exceeded it? Yes, because of my knowledge, my network, and like, you know, I always thought, this might sound a little bit weird, but I always thought the money that I thought, I'm not going to say the words, the numbers, but like the money that I thought was crazy, unachievable, you make that and you go past it, you're just like, oh, no, my eyes are just not that open. So like, sure, I had an idea, but yes, it has exceeded my expectations.
Okay. Yeah. I think I'm right around the same boat. I mean, I always knew that no matter what I did, like it was gonna work, whatever it was. And even when it didn't work, I would just make those shifts. Like, I mean, there was a time where I had the clothing company, I had version A. Ended up not working out because I started picking up Twitch streaming and I fell in love with that and wanted that to work. Didn't work out so well. Started trying content. Wasn't really going great. Was still like trying those things out while also having a career as a graphic designer in a IRL setting. And then once I started hitting up TikTok and bringing that shift to graphic design content, I was like, all right, finally we're hitting our stride. But I always knew it was going to get to that point. Not what I expected, but
I think that's the most part. If you want to be a content creator, you're probably you can do it. It's just, you should have a level. And also I started 10 years ago. So like, me in my eyes, if I were to hit like 70K, 50K, that was massive to me. Like, I'm like, holy, if I'm being realistic, the new 100K is the 1 million, which I don't like to say because it puts me in this universe of like 200,000 subscribers. But my universe is so much different and drastically different from a gaming to whatever. So my 200K feels like a 600K to me if I was a gaming channel, which are really great numbers. And even if you're lower than that, it's just like, even if you get let me just say, like, if you get like 10,000 people on your YouTube channel for design related content, that is brilliant. I will say, if you want to be a content creator, the absolute base minimum that I feel like is so easily obtainable is like a 3K. Like, if you can get the 3K on like a YouTube channel, that should tell you something that you have something, and definitely move forward and try to push on it. Otherwise, you still have to figure that out, because there's enough artists in the world right now today that there's like, or at least in the community that you might be in, if you're watching me and myself, or me and Homescope, you're like, okay, gaming content people, whatever. There's enough for at least 3,000 subscribers to be your cue that you have something. That's how I would say it.
Yeah, I agree with that number, mainly because I have just over 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. So
that's not calculated. I dead ass was just thinking out of my head.
Perfect. All right, Meg says, what was both of your first design jobs? Designer in quotations, designer jobs. I mean, I can go first.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, mine was, I guess I would consider it an internship. I had an internship at a gallery, an art gallery in downtown Albany. So that was actually like the first time that I had like real world experience. And it was the best experience that I ever had. I did it while during college, and the college classes weren't that great, but man, that experience right there did more for me tenfold.
That's pretty sick. Mine's probably not as cool. Mine is kind of very generic in the world of esport design, but my first job was being Phase Adapt's thumbnail designer, where I was making like a certain amount of passive income. He was probably paying me like, I think at the time was like $300 a month. We're talking 2012. And I'm just like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, besides $300, I was hanging out with Rain, Banks, all them in Skype calls, or like playing with, new members who were joining. I had that network, which helped me out very much so in the beginning. He also shouted me out on his YouTube channel for my birthday, a random ass day. If you go to like a Social Blade, and like, not my birthday, it wasn't my birthday, but if you go to a Social Blade, that was a different time. If you go to my Social Blade, you'll see like a random spike in like 2013 of like 3K subscribers. And I was like, that's crazy.
Just from Adapt.
Yeah, he helped me out quite a lot. But yeah, that was my first ever like genuine, real like design job where I was making like money for like, we did it with each other for like 8 months.
That's, I mean, based on where we're at, that's a better story than mine.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that you were a thumbnail designer for Adapt. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Slinksy says, is doing a degree in design worth it? Well, that's interesting.
Here's what I'll say. Here's my answer to this. If you don't know what you want to do with art and design, absolutely go to school. It'll give you enough exposure of what you could do, but it's not going to give you the experience of what you can do. That's the universe where college was for me like a question mark. I was like, dude, college is giving me like this, like, it was silly to me. But to someone else, it could be like eye-opening, amazing experience. But like, I was doing fucking self-portraits in Illustrator, fucking random ass like the animation program for Adobe, like making my own character and moving it. Flash, yeah. I was doing that. I'm like, dude, this is so far from what I want to do. But like, if I'm being genuine, I spent those 2 years doing art classes too. Still, I'm like, I didn't learn a damn thing about how to print correctly, what COIMK and RGB meant, what the DPI meant. It taught me a little bit of something, but it's because I had enough experience prior to that. Experience to me will always beat handbook knowledge, because I just recently, I had a friend of mine who just graduated college from a prestigious ass college. They get into the real world of like, not real world, let me not say that, sorry. But like, they get into the world where they're doing, their work that they were doing in college for someone else, but then they realized they lacked communication. They lacked like how to deliver, how to talk, how to actually get details down, how to get it right the first time, how to do this, that, and this and this. You're gonna realize if you're in school and you just graduated, you get your first job, and God forbid if you get your first job and you go into a fucking startup, God bless you, you're gonna fucking panic. Relax, we'll get through it, but you're gonna panic. Just realize that I always say that it's an eye opener. It's an eye opener. You put someone who has 5 years of, or let's say you have someone who puts 4 years of experience into social media and building as a graphic designer, or you put someone who has 4 years into being a great designer, they're going to come out with probably all the technical skills in the world, how to describe things, but to actually take those things and make them into something, that's a different world. Or that's that person that is able to do that, but sucks at describing things and doing that. That's just how it. An example: look at George. Look at myself. That's the easy way I can put it. He's very good at technical words and putting things together and like making things click. I'm very good at taking someone that gives me something and making it extraordinary in my own right. Right? It's like it just depends on what you want to like. If you don't know what you want to do, absolutely go to school for sure. It's gonna help. And for the record, I went to a SUNY school, so it's not like I have the best.
What school did you go to, by the way?
Description. I went to SUNY Dutchess. SUNY Dutchess. It's in like.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's right. It's actually right across the street from Marist College. If anyone knows what Marist is. Gotcha. That's where I went to school. For the 2 years. But yeah, like, is it worth it? If you're asking the question, yes, it is. That's what I'll say. If you're asking whether if you go to school or not, the answer will be yes. Because if you know what you want to do, then you wouldn't have gone in the first place and you would have had a different plan. But if you're asking the question, should I go to college? The answer for me will always be yes.
See, I knew what I was doing. I knew exactly what I wanted to do the second I went. Mm-hmm. But I went in with athletics in mind. So
okay,
I was on scholarship for cross country, track and field. So that was like a big reason, a big pull for there. The graphic design schooling, bro, they cut the arts my freshman year, including graphic design. So we were grandfathered in because we committed. Because I went in immediately. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to school for graphic design. Like I'm already, yep, you got me. And like because I was committed, I could finish out my 4 years and then it was done. So the schooling teachers were older. They didn't really care too much. Anything that I really would have learned in that school, just you know, it just wasn't the best education when it came to design, because I mean, like at that point, no one really cared as much as they would have if it was an established thing. Where now it was going out the door, so it wasn't that great. So everything that I learned, YouTube University. That's
fair enough. And I think a lot of people want to ask that question based on the fact that they care because of jobs, though. They're like, oh, I always see bachelor's degree is necessary for this position at X, Y, and Z.
Portfolio.
No, it's really not. It's sure they might say it, but the way the world is shifting today, school is less and less of importance. It's more about how you are presented and like how well you can present yourself, and also how well your portfolio is navigated and like put together and organized. Way more valuable to me than someone with a degree. In my opinion, if I'm a manager, right? In my sense, I'm hiring around. That to me is more important. However, there's a world where you also want to build when you're actually your own manager or building a studio. You want to have best of both worlds, because there is. I'm not going to say like I'm never going to say college is not worth it, because they really do teach you the technicals and like really genuinely teach you how to speak about your design and get confident about speaking about it. Which is a skill in its own that you need to have, but you can learn yourself if you do want to, like, if you just experience it. You know what I mean? So it's just this world of like, it's not that I'm bashing college. I mean, if I could, I would in the sense, but like, as going in an art direction right now for my career choice, I've been considering, should I just get the degree just to have it and just bang out the work, whatever, week by week, whatever, and just do like a 2-year course to get my bachelor's degree on like an online school. Absolutely, I thought about that. But just so I can level up if my character just wanted a degree. You know what I mean? Like if I'm like a SesoHQ character, if I just wanted something more just to have it, to be overachieved, right? I would want that degree, right? That's how I see school now. I'm just like, I'll just do it because I know I could do it and it won't be that hard. Maybe it will be. Who knows? Maybe I'll learn more than I might realize. It's just something I will always say, like, if you gotta ask the question, you gotta go to school. That's what I'll say. Yeah.
That was such a gamer way to put that, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know.
So like, if I wanted to level up my character, like, nice.
I always love to do that because I feel like if you make it boring and talk about it in like a boomer ass standpoint, it's just like someone who's 16 years old or 14-year-old will retain that knowledge because of how they'll see my point through the experience of that. They're 10 years younger than me, or 12 years younger if I said 14, but like 12 years younger than me, but at least they'll experience what I meant through something that's relatable. So like that's why I do that.
I respect it. Yeah, one thing I will say too is that if you go away to school, the experiences that you'll gain, even that just influence you as a human and especially influence you as a designer, that doesn't have anything to do with the schooling at all. I mean, the people that you meet, the way that you come up with your own ideas and the way that you play off of other people, I mean, that's going to play an influence on you. I wouldn't be here talking to Seso right now. You guys would have never heard from me if I didn't go to the school that I did and didn't have the experiences that I did. So it's up in the air. It's whatever you want to do.
That's the hard point. Once you give someone choices and chances, they have no idea what they want to do. So I always tell them, just give them the direction that is easier to obtain, because one plan could always happen. Like I always thought, like I will take a pause on school because I could go back. Like if I really need to, and if it didn't work, and also I went to school for my mom because she wanted me to have a fucking degree so bad. And I did my 2 years just like an associate's degree. So I'd be like, okay, I got this for now. Just know I'm gonna take a year break, mom. And I did all this work and I got ahead. So I'm not gonna actually be behind because I did a year's worth of credits more extra. I'm just gonna take a year off and pause it. And if I don't create anything from it, I won't. But if I do, let me do it. And she was just like, I trust it. Thank you for getting ahead. And then a year and a half later, 100 Thieves. So like, it makes sense. So like, it made sense for me.
What if I told you that I applied for your position?
Really?
Yeah. I remember when they announced that, and I put in my application for it. I was not qualified, but
the funny part is the two people that were on it, because I know now, but like the two people who were myself and someone else included, the person who was also included lived 45 minutes away from me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was fucking wild. He hit me up because I know who he is. I just don't want to, expose him for it. But like, he was like, "Yeah, dude, I think I'm up against you." And I was like, "Well, that's crazy." He was like, "Where do you live?" I think they're gonna want someone in LA. I'm like, "I'm in New York." He's like, "Wait, where?" I was like, "Upstate." He's like, "Wait, where?" And I was like, "Near like Newburgh." He was like, "Wait, what?"
Message me who it is after this.
Gotcha, I will.
Okay.
I'll just say the first name, and you guys can deliberate off of that. I think it's Max. I'll just say that much. And we'll go from there.
I didn't know he. Wait, okay. Damn.
And I was like,
New York gang.
So there's that. But like, yeah, that was fucking. It was wild. I was like, dude, I don't know, man. I might get it. I don't know. I feel like they like me.
I think they like me. It's like a girl at the middle school dance. I think she likes me. Okay, I got 2 questions left for you.
Okay.
Do you ever think there might be a time when you might want to explore other opportunities outside of esports in the future?
Here's what I'll say with that. I think esports has better overall design than the how do you call this?
The rest of the world?
Esports, I think, has a better overall design idea and like exploration over than the industry outside of it, like the industry center outside. And the reason for that is because the restrictions with how, when you're talking, if you want to work for like a Google, right? The reason why their branding is so simplistic is because they have so many restrictions on brand, but also sponsors. So if you think about like working for like I don't know, just think of anything like generic, whatever. It could be X company. This X company, when you work on these things, they have to be so strict and so has to have such a baseline that if you go over it, you're doing too much and it's not going to be accepted. In esports, it's so new that we're creating our own way of messaging to people that it makes the vision of art be more easier to just like explore past what you would do outside of the industry. If you want to do simple design, if you want to get through it, you'll probably have a great time, like, because it's easy as hell work. I mean, I've had offers of like $300K to work for like this random ass medical company, and like I'm just like, I can't even fathom how boring that will be. Like, it's just not for me. So have I thought about it? Yes. Is something I'm gonna do? Probably not. And if I do it, it would be inside of an industry like created content, like working for like a TikTok or like a I don't know, like an Instagram, or just working with something that still has to do with content creators. Because I think that DNA is so developed in me. Like, it's just like I can't. If I move away from that, I'm moving away from my specialty. That's just how I think about it.
That's a great way to put that. Yeah, 100%. When I've talked about this to George a lot, actually. When I first started getting involved with esports design, it was only within like the past like 2 or 3 years that I started really going like, okay, well, now that I'm already involved with the gaming side, and I've always tried to keep graphic design and gaming and like the content completely separate. Now that I'm bringing it together, it's like, all right, like now that I've seen what all of these like organizations have done and like these new esports designs that people do, it's like, okay, now that I'm here and seeing this, I'm like, I've never seen anything like this. I came in with an ego because I was like, I came from a world of restrictions, like you mentioned. And so I was like, oh, well, like, I know what I'm doing. Design is relatively easy. Everything's pretty consistent. Then you come into the esports world and it's just like an explosion of creativity. It's like, whoa, it's just a renaissance that's happening right now.
And in the world of esports, I think it's so easy to like understand that it is so competitive, and that most people who probably design are probably playing video games too, just like to throw it out there. Like, it's probably like a very high percentage over outside of the esports community. And that competitiveness is so driven through their actual profession of design as well, that everyone wants to just be better. So we're accelerating. I think we're probably decades ahead of, let's just give it a real term. We're probably like 7 years ahead of outside of industry of esports, like design, period. Like, sure, they might be very technical and very good at being strict on guidelines, and that's a skill in its own for sure. But there's a world where we're so ahead of how much we think, because we had to go through the esports scene. They went through grunge, which was like our gaming thing. Then they went through clean design, which was like copying UI layouts that you would see around the world. Then we went through how to make grunge and UI work. Then we went through how to make grunge UI work, taking out the grunge and making grunge be spoken through a different language. Boom, how do you do this? And then how do you separate it from being a phase? How do you separate it from being a 100 Thieves? How do you separate it from being a fucking luminosity? You know, we've went so far past what we've had to done, or other people had to have done. It's wild to me. So that's why I think most people outside of esports are looking in, because they realize how like Wild West it is and how like creatively untapped they can be. Leaving esports would just be a weird thing. I'm not gonna say I'm never gonna do it though. Let me at least say I'm never gonna say never. But even if I were to professionally move on out of esports, I'm still gonna be SesoHQ inside esports, doing what I still do today. That's what I'll say.
That's a great answer. Love that. Okay, last question. What was the first project that you completed that made you think, whoa, I can actually do something like this? And why did you feel that way about it?
Around 2 years ago, I was working on some 100 Thieves stuff, and 2 years ago, it was a little bit more than 2 years ago, I was the sole provider of designs for 100 Thieves for 2 years already. Like, I've been with 100 Thieves for 4 years. My first 2 years of 100 Thieves, I was solo to around 117 people. I was the one sole person who was doing every single design asset possible. Like, from partnerships to content to thumbnails to social posts to emails to decks to outsource to creator content to YouTube. I was doing everything, quite literally everything. I was overworking myself, not because 100 Thieves did, because I wanted to. I want to point that out there. It was no correlation between 100 Thieves work and myself. It was because I wanted to do everything and be like, I gave people no boundaries, which is my fault in that own right. I just wanted to do everything I possibly could. I put my everything in it. Once I hired George was like a lifesaver, right? Like, it was a situation where, you know, I immediately relieved half of my work. And it was like this fucking epitome of like, I just got through some of the hardest campaigns. I think Cash App was there at that time too. I was getting through all this stuff. And I think what was so crazy is that I was like, even though I was getting sick of this, right, I was still in a way enjoying myself. I wouldn't have done it if I wasn't quote unquote enjoying it, because I was enjoying the fact that I would wake up the next morning, have nothing to really do that day, and kind of just chill out for a little bit and like don't gotta start work until 3 p.m. right? Like I'm not gonna lie and say like it was always a 6 to fucking 11 p.m. That wasn't the case. But when I do work, I just never know how to stop because I was just in this design force alone in my room, fucking dark as hell in my one studio apartment. If I look left, I can touch my fucking kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like how it was. So like the reason why I say it wasn't design related, it was actually related. Once I got half of my work released, I realized how much I could push myself. So I could push myself way further than I thought. You know what I mean? Like I was in it. And now imagine if I want to now push myself with the correct amount of time and time management and self-care.
Yeah.
I could be extraordinary. So I was like, I get it. This is how I separate my boundaries. This is how I have a personal life. This is how I build my brand. This is how I do this, that, this, whatever. Because I had help as well. Like, this is how it should be. And I am so capable of making it far. And I was also going live every fucking day for like 7 months during that time, which was like so dumb. I just worked too hard, too fast, too much, and handled too much. So after that moment, that's when I was like, I can do this because now I feel like I know where not to go, know where I should take myself, how much self-care matters. Losing weight, like if I maintain my body, if I maintain correct sleep, I won't have this much anxiety. If I, need to take a break, take a fucking break. Like it's not that weird to take an hour off, especially if you work from home, relax and just like do what you got to do. If it's gaming, it's going to make you relax. If it's Valorant, you're weird for that. Like there's no way you got to relax in that game. But like, just like take your breaks. Self-care is so fucking important. And if you have something that is holding you down, like for me was weight, that you can absolutely, if you put your mind to it, figure that shit out. Like when I was losing weight, I'll be honest with you, 2020, end of 2021, like that from July to like December, genuinely. Now, Hunter's not gonna like this too much, but I still did my work and I did it great. 4 hours, probably a work of day, period. I was like, I'm gonna work 4 hours straight, fucking design, hyper focus, get shit done. Once I'm done with the day and I have no other things and whatever, no other feedback, turn it off. Get the fuck off 100 Thieves. Do what I want to do, go work out, whatever. I lost my fucking 47 pounds, and like I still hold that sort of same idea now, where I'm like, if I need to stop, I'm gonna stop. If I need to play a video game, I'm gonna play a fucking video game. Like I it's so weird because some people think their job is like so fucking important, which it is. And I love 100 Thieves to the death. And I love my personal brand to the death. And I love everything that it does. But Lord, was I taking advantage of my own self of being this nice guy who wants to complete everything. So yeah, that's what I would say. I would say it was after my top rock bottom that I realized I could really do this when I put self-care into the play.
I totally forgot that was the answer to a question. That what you just said right there, that whole story spoke to me on levels that I don't think you'll ever understand. I appreciate that. I've been going through my own struggles, and to hear you say some of the things that you're saying, it hits home, and it goes a long way. It really does. So thank you.
Nothing is more important than yourself, and I mean that every right.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it's something you don't really understand until you really break yourself and you realize it after you get help. You're like, holy shit, I was destroying myself. Like destroying myself. I was spending like $4,000 a month on ordering food. I ordered breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like stupid. I was so enveloped in my work that it was my personality, and your work should not be your personality.
Well, I could sit here and talk for hours about it, but obviously, I mean, like we have to have this come to a close. We're hitting about the 2 hour mark, getting somewhere close. But god damn, bro.
Even cutting this down, this is gonna be a great. I had a lot of fun on this. I'm not gonna lie. There was a lot of fun. There's a lot of conversations from tips to mental health to fucking journeys to starts to finish. This is really cool. I think the questions that we asked here and the flow, the narrative that it happened, Holmies Hangout is gonna be it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be great. Yeah,
thank you so much for being the first guest on the first episode. Ladies and gentlemen, the man himself with over 284K supporters on all platforms, the design guru himself, decade-long content creator, hopefully for decades more, SesoHQ, thank you. Is there anything that you want to tell the people what you got going on as far as the next few weeks, upcoming content, upcoming projects?
Design Royale, you'll see Homescope, another video after we talk. There's gonna be more just fun videos. I probably have to do a few tutorials here and there because Lord knows that I don't want to ban tutorials immediately. Even though for the past 3 months I haven't been. So you'll see more tutorials, more content, more just me, and then that's all I got. And also don't forget to go to the gym every once in a while, guys. Please, Lord.
Love that. All right, guys, make sure to check out Seso's socials down in the description. And love, peace, and chicken grease.
Peace.